Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Mark if you're new to the channel. Today I will be showing you how to turn some sheet metal and copper tubing into a metal flower. Let's get to it. Okay, for the tools you're going to need a file to clean up the edges when we're done cutting, a metal reaming tool. If you don't have one of these, they're cheap. You can get them at Harbor Freight. I think that's where this came from. Or just the end of the file would work too. Something that has a taper that you can fit in and widen the opening. Your metal shears, tin snips, something of that nature to cut it depending on how thick it is. You could probably even use some good scissors. A pair of non-marring pliers. It's just a plastic jaw. I got these off of Amazon. I have no idea what brand they are because it's written in Japanese or Chinese. I'm not sure. And then a drill to drill a hole for the copper tube. And a center punch. Forgot about that. Alright, so I got my aluminum sheet here. You can buy this at Lowe's or any of the other big box stores like that. It's fairly cheap. I think it was in the roofing section. It's just like flashing is what they call it, I believe. So I just cut out my patterns, glue them down with some glue stick. Comes off pretty easy. I'm doing it this way, so I'm not trying to hold one piece at a time, trying to drill it and keeping it from spinning in my hand and potentially chopping my fingers off. Even though I have gloves on, this stuff is sharp. I didn't mention this in my list, just a razor scraper. If I go like, you get that little burr that sticks up when you drill, and this just cleans it off easier when it's uncut. Alright, we got our pattern off, we got the glue off. Now we're going to do some filing, and basically what I want to do is get these sharp edges, or points I should say, ground off. And more importantly, we want to just kind of round the whole petal so it's more organic looking as opposed to geometric, I guess you would call it. So we're going to go around, hit all these high spots, round it off, and then we're going to go to sanding with some Scotch-Brite. Where you just kind of want to try to go in one direction of each petal. Kind of just gives it more flow. So when you get to this point, you want to check to make sure the holes that you drilled fit the copper tube. Doesn't take much, just enough so it fits relatively easily, like so. Alright, first we're going to start by putting a line down the middle. It kind of gives us a reference for each side and just to make it look more leaf-like. And I'm just going to round it over a little bit to give it more of a natural look. I cleaned this up off camera just using my Scotch-Brite pad. And then I also have these, which are, where am I at here? Just copper tubing that's the next size bigger. So it slides over it like that. And that's going to be our crimps that hold everything together if it stays on the table. So we're going to look at that one. That's the shiny side, so we want that one facing down after we put this on. Alright. So that goes on. And then the rest of them, we kind of want the shinier side facing up. Biggest to smallest. I'm just going to use a pair of side cutters. You could use a pair of pliers to pinch these on. I had to get it towards the end. And all this is doing is just going to put some pressure on it to keep it from sliding off the tube. And when I get it all done, I will solder the pieces back together. Put this on. I'm going to do the same thing on here, except you want to put pressure down because all these are kind of springy. Push it down, crimp it. So just kind of, it's hard to get my fat fingers out of the way. Kind of pinch the corners in. So instead of being flat, you're kind of cupping it. And then somewhat of a bend on the top. So fold it in a little bit and the top goes out. And you just repeat that for all of these. You have to be careful to not bend the tops too much. The aluminum, this gauge that I use anyways, is a little finicky when it comes to tight bends, so it doesn't bend, it more just cracks in half, which looks bad, so don't do that. Also, try to kind of overlap each one as we go. And when you get to the next row or layer, you kind of want where the gap is to fold over that and then repeat that so it gives that bloom. We are going to seal it with Protect-A-Clear, just a brush on sealer. see that. This comes in a little jar. You can get bigger jars, but this has lasted me quite a while. Slide it down. It's done, and here is what the finished product looks like. Thanks for checking out the video, everyone. Hope you liked it. If you're interested in the flowers, I have an Etsy site. I'll link that in the description below, and hope to see you next time. Thanks again.